Attention listeners, Aftersight's annual hike is coming up on July 27th.
It was a really good experience for me.
Visit aftersight.org/hike and become an audio trekker today.
That hike today gave me so much courage.
Hey, you're listening to Blindsight. Let's go. Mental health isn't something to take lightly. It's time to fight. It's time to thrive. Let's do this.
Welcome to Blindsight. This is Bill Lundgren, your host. And I think we've got a really special program today. We'll be talking about masculinity. All the month of June, we've been focusing on men's mental health. And, we don't talk about that subject with men very much because men have difficulty even letting each other know how they feel mentally as well as physically. We're sort of very private, much more, I think, than women are. But we'll talk about what is masculinity, how do we instill that. But first, I need to make a couple announcements. Number one, particularly for those people who are into athletics, we have a new podcast you ought to tune into called Game Changer. Sorry about that. But Game Changer is so new that I'm having trouble programming myself to remember the name. But it's Game Changer, well worth going on to listen and talking about athletes who are blind in sports that are designed for people with blindness. And also, speaking of athletics, July 27th, don't forget, we're going to do a hike for blind and sighted people just outside of Boulder. It's a nice trail starting at 8 o'clock and running till about 3 o'clock on Saturday. And you can go online to Aftersight.org and get a chance to sign up and let us know you're coming. And I'll tell you a little secret. Each individual podcast group is going to have a team. So Blindsight would like to have you come join the Blindsight team and so that we can show our strength. I also want to just remind people that we have two ways that you can give us feedback. One is the feedback phone line, which is 720-721-8856, and feedback aftersight.org. Okay, that takes care of announcements. Now, I am really delighted to welcome Aaron Huey. He's been on the program before, made a big impression on all of us, and he's going to talk about masculinity. He works with young boys. He works with their families. He's also written a book, and we'll be talking about all of that. Eric, good to have you on Blindsight again.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to your audience. I'm really honored.
Great. Well, I'm going to start off by asking you to talk about what is masculinity. How do you sense it? How do you define it?
Well, I will start off then by saying if masculinity is about fixing cars, building houses, and loving sports, I'm screwed. And I think that's such a, we're so much of my work that I've done is around sacred drama and symbolism, archetypal symbolism. It's been my primary topic of study for 30 years. And it's what I love so much is what things mean and why people do what they do. And that very early on created my understanding of masculinity and femininity and toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, and is the symbol that we've all grown up with is the archetypal. And to be clear, the word archetype means, in layman's terms, things that we agree on even if we've never met. What does a warrior have in his hand? What is the shape of a wizard's hat? What do a jester's shoes look like? Those are symbols, and those symbols are reinforced by society. And every time we recognize the symbol and are reminded of what it means, the sword, what it means to be a man, what a caveman wears, what Sasquatch looks like, we reinforce the symbol. So the symbol reinforces our belief. And by believing it, we reinforce the symbol. And when we put it in literature or in movies or in any form of media, it is reinforcing the symbolic nature of the thing itself. And so if we look at that, the earliest symbols, the two earliest symbols are of masculine and feminine, a man and a woman. Mm-hmm. Those were the first things that we recognize that are different. And that has defined a lot even nowadays. So when you ask, what does it mean to be masculine? I will tell you my opinion is that the masculine fixes things. Now, whether the thing is a problem, whether the thing is a person, whether the thing is a conflict, whether the thing is a car, whether the thing is... Now, that doesn't mean that the feminine breaks things, because within the cycle of the shadow masculine and the shadow feminine, the shadow masculine is the destructor. It's the deconstructor. We have to tear things down before we build them up. That is our way of understanding. And the feminine is the creative, the builder. The life giver is, as the masculine is the life taker. However, there is also some philosophical and symbolic concepts that the feminine is the shadow and the masculine is the light. So we have cultural differences of masculine, feminine, and the prime source of symbolism that all goes back to, as I was discussing off the air with you guys, the hunter-gatherer. And all these things are things we can discuss and get into, but the problem solver, in my mind, based on all the symbolic study that I have done, that, to me, is the symbolism of masculinity. Solve the problem. By any means necessary, right. The ends will justify the means. That's the hunter way. It's not the gatherer way.
Yeah. One of the things that I experienced as a couples counselor is that the female member of the couple would be very frustrated because as soon as she presented a problem, the male member of the couple wants to fix it. And she says, no, I don't want you to fix it. I want you to hear me. I want you to know what I'm struggling with. And I'm the only one that can fix it. And that's where, some of that fix it gets in the way. And they have, and men have to kind of back off a little bit and let their partner ask them to fix it when they're ready to hear a solution.
Now,
but not to just step in.
Yeah, I've got a great skill practice for men for this one. When your partner begins to talk and express a problem, it's hard for men to remember because part of our design is to fix things. Right. Again, it's a reinforced symbol. We build, we fix. Right. Understanding how to build and fix, we've created through the deconstruction process. But let's jump forward again. Your partner, your feminine partner, begins to discuss, this woman at work, oh my God, she didn't do this, and I was totally do this, and I told her that if she did that again, she was fired. And then she told the woman working next to her and blah, blah, blah. And what she is doing is she is rehashing the experience to see and feel and experience it again, because through venting, the feminine mind comes up with solutions. We build solutions in our head And we say, well, just do this and this, or just fire her. And our feminine partner says, you're not listening.
Right,
and we're
right,
like, wait a second. Not only am I listening, I solved your problem. Now you're not listening. But what I want to say to men who are dealing with this is, before you say anything, before you start thinking of things to say, before you start thinking of solutions, ask, hey, honey, before we get started, do you want solutions? Do you want support? Or do you just want to be seen? And then do what she asks you to do.
Right. Now, you see, what we're talking about now is the way that we have to embrace our masculinity, but don't have it get in the way of a relationship in this era where, the duties are so clearly defined as they were back in caveman days.
Right.
And it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment. But we can do it. But that doesn't disturb, I don't think, our masculinity when we do that, when we hold back and just say, okay, what would you like me to do?
Well, we are literally saying, how would you like me to solve this problem right now, which is not what your partner's employee did and said. That's not your problem. That's your partner's problem. Your partner is coming to you looking for connection, communication, and through that, creativity that you establish together. But if you just jump in and say, wait a minute, let me go get my hammer and nails, she might say, look, I don't know that I need a hammer and nail yet. And now you've broken connection. And she's not asking you to solve her problem. She's asking you to connect with her so she can solve her problem. You see, if you think that you are the only one who can fix this, and I know you don't, but that's the way it's going to come off. But we have to recognize that when we solve other people's problems, we are immediately communicating that we don't trust them to solve their own problem. We don't trust them that they can handle life on life's terms.
How do we teach young boys to that kind of masculinity where they can be open to other choices than just the hammer and nail?
I think part of it is we need to get past one of the first issues that men present. And I call it the excuse. It's the ultimate excuse that men present. I've used it. I'm sure many men have used it. Well, I was never taught, or we were never taught as boys. We were never taught. We were never shown how to cry. We don't know how to hug. My father never said, I love you, whatever. And my response to that is, okay, so now what? Because if you know this, if you know that you were not taught how to cry, maybe go learn. Maybe practice, maybe fix that problem first. You see, men want to fix the outside problem, the external problem, right? All of our energetic, even our sexual organs are built to express outwardly. Except when it comes time to actually look within and deal with our own crap, well, I was never taught how to do that. My father never. Okay, you know that. You see that. Awareness is key. Now fix it.
Fix it, which is what we demand of men, to fix it. So there you have to fix yourself first rather than trying to fix everybody else. Mm-hmm.
The hammer and the nails are not the solution. The carpenter is the solution. You've got to learn how to use the tools. It's easy to tell it's easy for us as men to be the armchair quarterback or the behind the steering wheel in the safety of your own car samurai. That's the easy part. When the rubber hits the road is when your father issues come racing to the front. Well, my father never taught me how to cry. He never said I love you. Well, okay, be the thing you've never received. Give the gift that you never got. Evolve, for crying out loud. To me, that is the ultimate excuse of laziness. And laziness is that lazy lion side of masculinity that we're going to be, we've got all these solutions, But when it comes time to apply them to ourselves, I'm going to give an example here, if that's okay, Bill. Recently, I went to the doctor, and I was really struggling. I was struggling with my energy. I was struggling with my mental health, my attitude. And I went to my doctor because I knew it was body. I knew I was in South Africa doing a lecture for a week, and my body just started to talk to me. And Tom Terwilliger loves to say, it whispers to you, it shouts at you, it tries to slap you. That's the process. It will whisper, it will shout, and it will slap. This whisper, shout, and slap is how our bodies as men talk to us. It says, hey, you're eating too much junk food. You got to stop. And we ignore it. So it starts to shout at us. I don't feel well. I don't like how I feel. My sex drive has dropped. I'm finding more excuses than I am time at the gym. I haven't done this. I'm not happy. And we ignore it. And then our body says, great, okay, fine. You got high cholesterol. Now what? Now you have to run. So I was in South Africa and I heard the whisper, and I had a pain in my knee that I had never experienced before. And at 55 years old, you pay attention to the little pains, right? So there's my shout. Yep. So I go to the doctor and I'm like, I don't feel right. So he checks my testosterone. It's really low. So that's obvious. And then he just looks at me. And this man who I admire enough to put him in charge of my health, he goes, Aaron, you're fat. You need to lose 10 pounds and keep it off. You're putting extra weight on your joints, and you need to knock it off. Now, Bill, I've been sober for 26 years. I haven't touched drugs or alcohol for 26 years, and I was a raging addict. And it suddenly dawned on me, if I have all this discipline to fix one of the biggest problems that I not only had, but that I created in my family's life, my daughter's life, my wife's life, everybody's life, and I fixed it. And then I started helping other people fix theirs. Why am I still struggling with the problem of food when all it takes is the same discipline that I have? That's laziness on my part. That is laziness. And so I stopped. Black and white, cold turkey. I went vegetarian the next day. Is that everybody's solution? No, that was mine. Well, what do you do for protein? Give me a break, you guys. There's so much you can do for protein. Stop using that as an excuse. But I knew that vegetarian was going to be the right choice for me because my body said, yes, that's what I want. Give it 6 months. And my doctor said, I agree with that. Let's do this for 6 months. 6 months trial, blood test now, blood test then. And let's up your testosterone intake. And that's it. And you go do the work. You fix the problems. You stop saying, I got a problem. My daddy never taught me how to hug. You know what? Men who are listening, I never met my father. I never met him. And I was raised by a dad who showed up and did everything that a father was supposed to do. He took the stepfather seat at my table, but that father seat was always empty. And what that taught me to do is how to take the stepfather seat at another boy's table, who is now a man with a daughter. And we evolve. We create new legacy and we create new lineage. And you're never going to do that in the world until you start within. We think that masculinity is about women and about what they've taken from us or what they're doing instead of us and what they don't need from us. And really, it's about what men aren't doing for ourselves first, so we can do it for the world second.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The question is that my sense is that we still are having trouble defining what masculine is. And we, especially when we see women taking over so many of the things that traditionally were male dominated, and we say, okay, what now? And as you say, when kids are being raised by female teachers, so many of the educators are women, and we're kind of confused. And also, the stereotype of a male is somebody who basically knuckles drag on the ground and they carry a club.
Right.
That's what we kind of think is masculine, and we're having to redefine what it is.
Yeah, my brother is a teacher. I'm from a family of teachers. Both my sisters-in-laws are a teacher. I was a teacher. I ran a school for a while. If we're upset as men that all the female teachers are teaching the boys to reject the fathers, and symbolically that's what's going on, and I'll explain that in a second. But then the solution is men need to become teachers. But see, that's not. My brother, when school shootings, and we had a couple mass shootings in Colorado that were causing a lot of stress and pain and suffering as they do everywhere. And they were the conversation of arming teachers came up at my brother's school. And, he's with elementary school kids. And my brother is very physically fit, he's very physically active. And covered in tattoos, bald, earrings. Like he looks like your stereotypical tough guy. And he is. He's extremely athletic, coaches all the kids and my nephew's soccer team, on and on and on. And they were talking about arming the teachers. And all the teachers were like looking at my brother. And he was looking down, taking notes on what the district lecturer was saying. And he looked up and saw everybody staring at him. And he goes, "I've never fired a gun in my life." And the woman next to him, the female teacher, goes, "I had 6 years of combat duty in Afghanistan." And the whole school went, "Oh crap, we're in trouble." Not because they didn't have someone to arm, not because they couldn't arm the man, but because the instant symbolism and assumption was that my brother, the athletic, strong, physically fit male, was going to be the one to kill somebody, and the woman next to him, who had literally been trained by the U.S. military to do so and had done so successfully, was completely overlooked. It was assumed. And it's not just the men in the room who were making the assumption. It's the women. Everybody's making the assumption. We still play the stereotypical roles, and then wonder why they blow up in our face. And
wonder why kids are confused.
Yes. And if we are going to re-embrace the stereotypical roles, the backlash of that must be embraced, because stereotypically men have been violent towards women. Men have been sexually aggressive towards women and committed crimes against women. Women have not generally felt safe around men. And so if we are going to re-embrace a healthy masculinity, and what is masculinity? If we're going to re-embrace whatever that means, then we have to embrace what has happened, and we have to acknowledge it, and we have to figure out how to move forward without doing that. And maybe that means that fathers start teaching their sons to respect women, that fathers start teaching their sons to honor and trust women to fix their own problems, and that holding each other accountable as men is as important as being able to fix a car for a woman in need, or hold a door open for a woman who's carrying 3 bags of groceries and trying to keep 2 toddlers in line. Maybe because she's single, maybe because her husband is at work, maybe because her husband's at home with the infant raising. Who cares? But the whole point is, if we are going to be men, healthy, masculine versions of what men are supposed to be in the future, maybe if it starts with understanding what men have done in the past to each other and to women. We cannot turn a blind eye to yesterday and hope that tomorrow is somehow different, because today is a result of all of our yesterdays, and tomorrow will be a result of the changes we make right now, today, for ourselves. Are you going to sit in front of your computer all day? Or are you going to get up and take care of your body? Are you going to go fix something that's broken? And I'm just using that as this fix-it man. I'm just using that as an example of what being a man could mean. To me, it means having a strong back and an open heart. Because I don't know how to fix a car, Bill. I don't know how to build a house, and I don't know why, but I don't like sports at all. You know what I like? I like watching movies and breaking down the scene dynamics of the characters and understanding the writing, and do I like the editing? You know what? I'm in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. I do like kicking and punching and getting kicked and punched. Does that make me a man, or is it the fact that I spend my life and make my living by talking and communicating and being a coach for families in crisis who are going through the worst points in life? Well, okay, maybe that's how I fix families, but maybe I'm a man because I effing said so and feel like one. And when I don't, I check my health and fix my problems. And when my daughter calls, I stop and drop and make sure that she feels connected with. And when my son calls and he's going through the ringer with his wife, I give him whatever I can, knowing that he's got his own path to walk. And maybe being a man is not being the father who I never met, but being like the dad who raised me and giving what I never received from both of them, and recognizing that every man has a father wound, and we're gonna wound our own children, because that's what we do as men. We break things and we fix things. So and what's your balance? What's your withdrawal rate on fixing versus your deposit rate on breaking? Are you going to break women's hearts? You're going to fix women's hearts. Are you going to break your daughter's heart? You're going to fix her heart when some other guy breaks her heart. What are you going to do as a man? So I have spent my life helping young boys and young children and older boys who are struggling with addiction, with life, with mental health. I have spent my life trying to help them fix themselves, because at the end, that's really the only thing I know how to fix. I can't fix your car, Bill, but I can show you how I fixed me from 14 years of addiction and being sexually assaulted at 18 years old in Hollywood and being fatherless and being bullied mercilessly by the other boys who thought that's what being a man was about. I fixed it. And now I travel all over the world, and I'm in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and I'm an author of multiple books, and I help children, so that's my fix-it story.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of our episode with Aaron Huey and talking about masculinity and all things men for the month of June. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email us at feedback@aftersight.org or give us a phone call at 720-712-8856. Don't forget to keep listening all month of June as we are identifying men's mental health. And then join us in July for our hike at Aftersight, where we will be hiking Myers Gulch. More information can be found at aftersight.org/hike. Don't forget to register. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon.